Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you've never been before. I'm Marguerite with Wreaths by Marguerite. Today I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful retro Halloween wreath with a little bit of accents of purple. Purple and pink have become quite the addition to the Halloween season, so you'll see that more in the product that comes out. I will try to put it in some other creations that I put here on the channel as well. I know I'm doing a pink one with the ghost, so you'll have to look for that as well. This is done in the storm door style. What is the storm door style? Storm door style is a wreath that's under 4 inches deep so that you can place it behind either a screen door or a storm door up against your regular door without it being crushed. Traditional wreaths have big bulky bows. There's nothing wrong with it. Big fluffy bows. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you try to put something like that behind a screen or a storm door, it's not going to look good. It's going to get crushed. So rather than having a big bow, we've taken the ribbon and just spread it around the wreath more, giving it a fluffier, fun look, and still being able to put something there that not only is protected, but it's not smushed. So you can see how thin that really is when you pull it off of the stand. But when you're looking at it head on, it looks really fluffy, doesn't it? I can always get the angle wrong on these things. So follow along while I make this wreath. This one is just for a shop. It is not a kit, but it gives you a good idea of what's involved if you decide you want to purchase a kit from me, okay? So come on, let's do it. Okay, well here's all the materials that I'm using in this wreath. Like I said, this is not a tutorial for a kit. This is just to give you an idea of how simple it really is to put together a storm door wreath, a wreath that's under 4 inches deep. It's Halloween time for the creators, so again, I'm back to making another Halloween wreath. I'm using 3 2.5 inch ribbons on this wreath because I want a little bit more coverage of the mesh, because I'm using a border stripe mesh and it is much thinner. You can see through it a lot more, so the more coverage the better. So we've got our orange deco mesh with the black stripes. Let's call it a border stripe. We've got a frame with 12 pipe cleaners on it, a 4-ring frame, which is a must for this style of wreath. We have our sign. It's a MDF sign with a sticker on the front, the graphic, and then 2 pipe cleaners cut on half to attach to the back. Don't know why that's there. So this is how we're going to attach it to the wreath. I'm going to put it up there out of the way. I've made 12 bundles of ribbon. They're all cut at 12 inches in length. They're all 2.5 inch ribbons, so we've got a total of 12 bundles because we need 12. This is the positions that I'm putting my ribbon in. Since the base is orange, I'm going to put the gray on the bottom and the orange on top so I can break it up. And then that way the orange will frame the black and the sign. So that's the thinking behind why I'm placing it the way I am. So I got all my pipe cleaners ready on this for me to start attaching the mesh, and we always start on the outside. You put the curl side down. I'm still going to use the clip. That helps me stay focused. Anytime you have a patterned mesh, it really does help to keep on center when you're gathering, and if not, I use the clip on the center. In the classes, in the tutorials that I teach for kits, I go into much deeper detail using other tools to help you, guide you through the process with making as minimal mistakes, if any at all. At this point, since this is just for my shop, I am not going super detailed into it, and I'm doing it how I do it when I'm at home in my studio. Right now I film all my videos in the Jansen Art Center, so I want to give a shout out to them and thank them for helping me work on this part of my business by allowing me to film here. You'll see that sometimes the mesh frays. That's completely normal and unavoidable. You're gonna have to deal with that. You can use a wood burner to cut the mesh, but that doesn't help entirely. So it's just a hazard of the trade. I always tell everybody you should wear short sleeves because this stuff acts like, what do you call it, Velcro. It sticks to everything. So you're going to want to have at least 3 feet of workspace, if not more. This cutting mat is a 3-foot cutting mat, so you can see I'm actually using a little bit more than that. I talk in the tutorials about how you move your project and not you so much, so that you're not contorting your body and wearing yourself out, having a good time making a cute little wreath. I move it around, and not me so much. See, I move this around a lot. Okay, and I will tell you in this, always make sure your outside cut edge is over your inside cut edge. That's going to help minimize the fray that you get, because it's going to protect all the cut edges because they're hidden. As you can see, I've already stopped using the chip clip habit. I give you a couple, 2-3 ways on how to best ruffle your mesh. This is the way I do it. At this point, because I've done it so much, I always recommend that newbies try it each way to see what's most comfortable for them. And you may end up modifying it in a way that I haven't discovered yet either. There's so many of us out there, and there's so many different ways of doing things. Just always know that there's no right or wrong way to do this. Certain things, yeah, they're required. You got to do certain things a certain way, but for the most part, it's completely subjective. So just, you always have to make sure the curl side's down. That's one of the things that are for sure on deco mesh for the storm door wreaths. Other style wreaths, if you look at some of my other tutorials, I use some other techniques, but those are on wreaths that don't have to be super thin to fit behind a storm or screen door. This design is styled to go in that thin 4 inches of space that you have behind a screen and a storm door without crushing it. So you're lacking a big fluffy bow, but you're still getting a ton of ribbon, which more than makes up for it. So it still looks big and fluffy when you look at it right on, but when you look at it from the side, it's got a very thin profile. So I don't like that one. So I'm going to hold the pipe cleaners, and I'm going to grab down towards the base of the pipe cleaner and adjust the shape. Or either that, or I could take it out and readjust it. It's entirely what you're more comfortable with. I don't like to take it out once I get it in unless it's really bad. Okay. What we're looking for here is making sure that this outer edge is what's nice and rounded. This is what's going to be seen on the bottom layer. Fray. I always recommend having a good pair of scissors, some good wire cutters, some needle nose, and your ruler, of course. If you don't have a ruler, that's fine. As you can see, as you become more adept at this, you don't necessarily need it. And you can also use the chip clip to hold it down because it gets kind of curly. But you can also just fold the mesh in half if you want to be sure where the center is, so you know where to start ruffling. You can use 2 hands to ruffle, 1 hand to ruffle. The idea is to get pretty tight gathers so that it helps it stay nice and low. And I'm sorry, I toss things, so I hope I don't hurt your ears. I'm all about getting it out of my way. Okay. If you noticed on the first layer, I did every other, and then I put the mesh in every other pipe cleaner. I'm going back and filling in the other 3 in between each of those. And I try not to grab the outside edge of the mesh where it's been cut or not, because it changes the design in the mesh. We don't want to do that, so let's do that 6th one, and then we'll put some ribbon in. Okay, see how thin that is? So we need lots of coverage with that ribbon. Use that to hold it down. As you get further into the roll of mesh, as you're cutting it, the curls on the mesh get a little tighter, so weighing it down on one end really helps control that so that you can curl it efficiently. Let's see. Put that in there, tight and low a couple times. Alright. And I always recommend cutting off the frayed pieces as you go, because you'll forget and you'll go back later and can't remember where you find it, and you'll find it at the most inopportune time, in my opinion. So like this outer edge one is going to come off anyways, so I helped it the rest of the way. That happens. It's mesh. It is what it is. So now we're going to go back and put the pipe cleaners the opposite direction. And get ready to put the ribbon in. If you do purchase kits from me, you can read about them down in the comment section in the description section. They come with all the materials to make your wreath. They do not come with the tools, but it's a very short tool list. And you don't necessarily need every single piece. Like I said, I don't use the ruler, and I don't really have to use the chip clip. And I have a few other tools that I use. It just depends on what you want to do with your project. So they're completely self-sufficient with everything you need. I pre-cut the ribbon except for these dovetails. And I put all the pipe cleaners in the frames for you. I attach all of the pipe cleaners to the sign for you. So it really eliminates a lot of the time and the effort until or if you decide you want to do this more and on your own. So I would appreciate it if you let me know how you feel about the kits, and if it's great, share it with your friends. So just like with the mesh, we're putting the ribbon in every other as well. This retro feel that's on this sign and ribbon is really hot this year, as well as lots of different new colors for Halloween, and I will show you several color options. I don't know if I figured any out for lavender yet, but pink, really bright orange, lime green, bright purple are all the rage now for Halloween. Just like with fall, you'll see pink and purple and teal and navy blue as well. And I think it's a little more in the Christmas season now as well. I saw one of my mentors make a purple ribboned grapevine yesterday, and it was just so gorgeous. It was velvet, so I think that helped bring that Christmas appeal to it too. But yeah, you got the pastels at Christmas for the whole Candyland theme. So now we're getting the pastel pinks and the bright pinks and lavender as well into Halloween. I haven't done anything with the lavender yet, so we'll have to see if that happens this year. Stay tuned. I know I have a pink Halloween, pink, black, and orange Halloween wreath coming up on one of the tutorials. So either make sure you sign up for notifications on my tutorials, or just if it's later down the road, take a look around. I got quite a few videos on the page now, and I will continue to add to it. So what are you thinking? Let me know down in the comments with all these new color additions to the different holidays. What are your thoughts about it? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What do you want to see more of? I know I've had a request to make a swag, so I think I'm going to do a fall swag on a tutorial. It won't be a kit, it will just be a swag, so I can show you guys another way to make a wreath. I also have a bow tutorial. I will also try to schedule one right around the Thanksgiving holiday time, because that's when people do a lot of Christmas gift wrapping between then and Christmas. So I thought that'd be a great time to give you some ideas on how to wrap gifts and what kind of bow makers to use, because I absolutely use a bow maker unless it's a really small little bow, because if you haven't noticed, I have very small little thumbs, but that's never deterred me from being a crafter. Should never allow anything to deter you if you want to try it. You never know. I always tell everybody and they laugh. The only thing I really can't do very well with small thumbs is bowl. It's hard to hold on to the bowling ball. We make it work, right? See how quickly that's going along? Yes, I have done quite a few of these, but It's pretty simple and direct. I'm really excited to see this one done. 6. And ironically, I'm doing Halloween and it's 102 degrees outside. But if you are a maker, this is the time we have to get this stuff done. Christmas is right around the corner for us, and if you haven't watched any of my videos, please go back and look. I did Christmas in July, so all of the creations on my channel in July were Christmas themed, to give you a heads up. It's definitely a good time to take a look at what you have in your own collection, if this is for you personally, and see what you're lacking, and take a look at see what we have available for you to make or buy if you're not a maker. I get it, not everybody likes to make them, and that's where my Etsy shop comes in as well. There's lots and lots of product in there. Plus, if you're local, you can always see me at a lot of the major craft events locally. I happen to be very involved and on the committee for Oktoberfest, so that's when I really showcase my product because I have the most room to show. So if you're local and you can come to the event, that's where you're going to see the most amount of my product in one setting outside of Etsy. So keep that in mind. All right, so now it's time to put in the second layer of mesh. See how much coverage that's given already? Bottom line goal is to make sure you can't see that frame behind it. I should have used the dark green frame, but at the moment I only have the gold tone, but it's okay. It's going to be hidden just fine. No one will ever know. Loosely hold it with my thumb and forefinger so I can manipulate the mesh a little bit, so I'm not doing it as much in the wreath. And a lot of the traditional colors are popular again. Last couple years I've noticed for Halloween, the orange and the black. I personally am very drawn to black, lime green, purple, and orange wreaths and product. All of my Halloween decor for my home are in those colors, and more glittery. I like the glitter a lot. I like it a lot. Okay. How's that look in the picture? It's a little rough there. Come on, work with me. Alright, so we're going to skip one again. Put another one in. But yeah, let me know if there's anything in particular that you'd like to see on my channel that I haven't done yet. I will be doing some pine bases. So that's the green Christmas wreath. Base wreaths coming up. You'll see those. And you don't have to wait just for Christmas to use them. They're great bases for any season because you can cover them with enough. I did that one, so it's time for this one. With enough elements, mesh, ribbon, that you'll never know that there's a green wreath behind it. But they are great for a lot of projects. I do know that I've had a lot of requests for grapevine wreaths, and I have not done any yet. If this is a video you're watching later in time, take a look. I've got to get a couple of them up. I have a Christmas one, I think, that I'm making shortly. We're getting into show season, so I'm balancing the tutorials now with getting ready for the shows, and you know we all take summer vacations too, so there's that. Skip that one. Anybody doing anything special on their summer vacation this year if you're watching this in current time? I know I have lots of wonderful family coming to visit mid-month, so I've been trying to get as many of these tutorials done so that I can enjoy their time here. We're only about 4.5 hours from Mount Rushmore, so we're going to take a trip up there. If you haven't heard before, I'm in southwest Nebraska in a little town of less than 7,000 people called Sidney, Nebraska in Cheyenne County. just off the interstate, which is a couple hours north of Denver and a little over an hour from Cheyenne, Wyoming. So we're pretty centrally located if we want to go to town, so to speak. Everything's within reach in a reasonable amount of time. Okay. See, there's spray everywhere. And it's so important, like I said, to wear short sleeves because this stuff is so much like Velcro. It's not even funny. So that's the first 3. I'm going to go back and do the final 3. Two-hand approach is usually best. What we're looking for here is making sure that the outer edge is a nice and rounded part, because that's what's going to be seen. In here is covered by all the mechanics, so you're not going to see that as much. So it's not as crucial for the mesh to be perfectly round. The goal is just making sure that outside edge is nice and rounded and pretty. Taking that outside cut edge over the inside cut edge, so that's protected. And I always try to grab right around the base of the pipe cleaner if I have to make an adjustment, so that I don't ruin the design on the outside of the mesh. It's so important. And trying to curl it under is sometimes impossible, but I try it anyway. To go. So yeah, it's 102 outside. And I'm making Halloween wreath. Why not, right? I'm beckoning the fall. I'm trying. I can't remember if we got it last year, but the year before we actually had snow on Halloween. It was cool for us because we're not natives. We're from a very sunny place on the coast originally, but we decided in our older years that we wanted to be away from all of the big city stuff unless we wanted it to be there. We can go there when we want. So yeah, I'm a big city girl in a little bit town in the Midwest. These are my people. If anybody had told me even 10 years ago that I would have lived in Nebraska, I would have thought that they'd been drinking heavily. You just never know where you're going to end up. You just never know. It's all good. It was nice to be by the ocean growing up, though, when we got there. It's amazing how little we actually got there in the scheme of things, living so close to it. All right, so we're on the last piece. See how curly this is? That's because it was in the middle of the roll, the very closest to the center of the roll. But that's okay. It still works. It's just a little bit more effort. Okay. All right, let me get that in there. And I'm going to stand up to put the sign on. Some people stand for everything, some people sit for everything. I do a little of both. I got to move around. I can't sit or stand for too long. Stand up. Standing up does give you a good perspective, but I have the benefit of the camera. I can recommend that if you're not sure about how something looks, take a picture of it with your camera. You'll get a different perspective than you do with your naked eye. That'll help you if you need to make any adjustments. Okay, so now I'm going to adjust everything so I can make space for the wreath sign. Isn't it fun? So retro. And I'm going to be able to, since I put them on the back of the sign correctly, I can put them right where the pipe cleaners for the ribbon tails are. There we go. Now I'll sit back down. I use this little tool here to bring the pipe cleaners through the back. It's a plastic embroidery needle that's 6 inches long. really eliminates the fight involved with getting that pipe cleaner through the mesh to the back, because this pipe cleaner on the back of the sign has to go all the way through all of the product. You want to make sure you don't go through the ribbon though. Guess it caught a thread. There it is. All right, here I always do it in an X pattern so that my sign lies correctly and isn't deeper on one side and higher on the other side. This really makes a difference. Okay. That still look good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. Blank. So A is the center. Okay. Put that through there. Put the pipe cleaner through. Always make sure that pipe cleaner's up and under the sign a little bit. You don't want it visible outside. More than likely the ribbon will cover it, but I always try to take the precautions to make sure that I never have to take it apart and redo it, because it doesn't look right. Okay. Come off. So that, see how helpful that was? Oh, I love that. Turn it around. To be centered, right? So I'm going to hold the sign and flip it over so I can attach the pipe cleaners to the frame. I always hold the frame down just a little bit so that the sign sinks in a touch, but sits on top of the mesh more than anything. You don't want it sunk in too much. That doesn't look good. And tighten that up. And I always do it in the X fashion so that I'm keeping the sign flat on the outside. I mean, you could cut off some of this pipe cleaner, but I wouldn't. You never know. And I've had people that have had signs, especially the metal signs, that they want me to recreate a new wreath using the same sign. So we want to keep as much of that pipe cleaner on as possible. These are designed to last several years. Not so much if it's in direct sunlight. I get 2 years out of mine that are facing in direct sunlight because of the mesh. It's not meant to last forever. You need to get new pretty things every so often anyway, right? Okay, so that's nice and flat. And it's time to put the last of them. You can put the ribbon on before you put the sign, but I prefer to have my ribbon on top. I like the way it frames the sign. That's just me. If you're doing your own, you do it your way. This retro witch cracks me up. And the cat, I'm sure I had a costume. I'm sure I had a costume and my cat looked just like that. And I like that little pop of purple in this. You can either leave them really flat or curl them up just a little bit, and they're still gonna sit pretty behind a door if you have a storm or a screen door. It's entirely up to you. I'm into curling it a little bit, that's just me. And then what I do with the pipe cleaners here, if I don't have some cute little buttons to put on here, I curl it around the a little dowel or a pen or a pencil. You can either pull it out and it looks like curly cues, or you can leave it nice and low. Today I'm going to leave it nice and low. That's typically what I do when I don't have an enhancement or attachment, meaning like buttons to put in the center. Three times. And I'm going to go opposite of that, so it's going to be the paisley closest to the sign this time. And I always try to separate the ribbon as I'm placing them. I find that it works well. Curl that down. Okay. I'll go back and play with the ribbon all in one end. I always do the top and bottom center last because I like the way it looks laying on top of the other bundles of ribbon. And this ribbon in all three of these or both of the ribbons that have designs in this wreath, the design on them goes both directions. Some pumpkins go one way, some go the other, the same with the witches and the cats. So I don't have to worry about what's right side up or what's wrong side up. That makes sense. And it's all wired ribbon, so you can really manhandle it without doing any damage. I just will tell you, like I tell all my students, don't grab the ribbon by the edge, just like you don't want to grab the mesh by the edge, because it can fray too, and then you're going to have to trim it. And the more you have to trim it, the less you have to display. You can make these tails anywhere from 12 to 14 inches long, but in the kits I do 12 because that's the basic guideline, and then that way I can keep the prices down on the kits so that you can decide if this is something you want to do again. You haven't invested too much if you decide, no, I'll just buy them pre-made. These are fun projects to do with family members. I forgot to curl that one. You can buy kits and they don't have to all be the same. All of my tutorials are for storm door wreaths are pretty much all the same direction. The difference is between a sign that has a metal, it's made of metal versus wooden ones. There's a little bit of a different technique for attaching the pipe cleaners to the back because obviously you can't staple them. But you'll learn that on all my tutorials that have metal signs. And of course if you buy a kit that has a metal sign, it's already going to be done for you. So you're just putting it together, having a good time with yourself or with somebody else. Now it's time for the final two. And there's the train. Letting us know he's coming through. So this is the paisley goes out. So nobody gets run over with a train. We are in farmland, so we get a lot of trains through here. Right. Just curl that. He's a real honker. Some of them honk once or twice and that's it. Some of them, oof, especially that one that's like at 4 o'clock in the morning. Tends to be one of the times I wake up. And they come right through. Let's see, this is the final one. I love this one. It's so traditional, and then a pop of knot. That purple. One more curl. I guess I should have spread out the ribbon before I curled it. See how I tend to mix things up a little bit? But after you're more comfortable, you can do that. You know what I mean? Alright, so this goes. Put that one there. And those there. Like I said, I always try to separate the 3 ribbons before placing them so they're more likely to stay where I place them. Like that one needs to come down a little bit more. Put a little curl in there. Make sure the outside edges are all facing out so you can see that pretty ribbon. Lift that mesh so I don't snag the ribbon. What's up with you? Okay, work with me. Thank you. This one's really hiding. Come out. We want to see you. All right. What do you think, guys? And there we have it. Hope you enjoyed that. So there you have it. Now you've seen how we made this beautiful retro Halloween wreath. I can remember as a child having a Halloween costume with a cat face almost exactly like that black one. Takes me back, that's for sure. So anyway, having a reminiscing moment. As you can see, it's a pretty simple process. If you purchase a kit for me to make another wreath, all these supplies are in there. You just have to provide your own tools. Everything that you see here is on my Etsy shop. All of the wreaths that I made to sell are in the Etsy shop. All the wreaths I made as part of the tutorials are also for sale in the shop, as well as the kits for the kit tutorials as well. So just take a look down in the description. You'll find all the information you need if that's something you'd like to do. I appreciate you spending your time with me today. I know your time is valuable, so when you take a little time out of your day to spend with me, it means a lot. If you like what you see here, please feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free. Then you'll be notified whenever I have a new video coming out. I'm also on other platforms, including Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, all with the same handle, Wreaths by Marguerite. You can find me in all those places. And if you're interested in this wreath, go take a look over at the Etsy shop. If this is a current day video, it should still be there. If not, and you like something like it made for you, I can do that as well. So thank you again. I appreciate your time today and enjoy. Happy Halloween.